Welcome back to another house tour at the Shark's Den. It's been about 3 months since our last one. Today is the 7th of February 2023, and as usual I'm stood outside our green gate entrance from the street, and you can see the house behind me, and it's a lovely day. Although it is -1, but it looks beautiful with the snow. But I thought I'd take the first minute of this video to just catch everyone up to speed, because when we re-watch what we've posted to comment on the progress of certain things, we noticed on the older ones, when we've walked around, we've actually discussed things and designs and problems occurring, etc. But a lot of the things we suggested we're going to do, we've ended up doing the complete opposite 6 months down the line. So in this house tour video, I'm going to go into a little bit more detail inside, because as we've lived here, lifestyle, choices, etc., and the way we live, that determines our design ultimately. And we've noticed that a lot of the things we're doing now is contradicting what we've done before. So, what we said before, sorry. So it's just a bit of a recap really, and I'm going to switch around, carry on as normal, but going forward, we hope that the audio quality, the information we're going to provide, insights to our life, etc., is a little bit more of a better quality. And we haven't got professional equipment. We've only got the smartphones and just a photography camera really. So we are limited to the quality that we can provide until such time where we can afford better instruments and equipment. So I'm going to crack straight on. It's just into the almost 2 minutes now, so that rounds it up. Let's crack on then. Okay, so I've just flipped it around straight away. You can see a bit of changes going on straight away here. We used to have the outbuilding that used to cover up here. That's where all these tiles have come off. And we've straightened the wall out and just fixed a few tiles up to the end. Looks a lot better from the other side, so I'm going to crack straight on with it. Like I say, I'm not going to go through the green gate again because we've still got quite a bit of mess on the other side. Thankfully, the snow is hiding a lot of the mess in the garden, and it always looks a lot more prettier. So you're in luck. But this is the first video of its kind where we show the house in all its glory of the snow. So it's really standing out nice. It's got the black gate here ready. So we've had people commenting about various things that they've seen in previous videos, so I'm going to try and cover everything and not ramble on too much. Okay, so straight away, not much changed around here. Still got the gas bottles, obviously. Generator here. Someone mentioned about they can't wait to see what we do with this cabinet and restore that. But there's a lot of things to do. The skeleton of it is pretty good. It's pretty sound. But it needs new panels on the doors and a new top. We've still got all the drawers and stuff. We've kept most of it in the summer house. It's nice and dry. So we haven't been in the garden yet today, so it's really nice to see the winter wonderland. That's the last flat pack kit of the outbuilding, ready to be for the Petchka. Unfortunately, we just didn't get it in time before the snow, but it should be okay. It should dry out. It's pretty deep, and I ain't got my snow boots on. So when we took down the outbuilding in previous videos, you saw those piles of stones, and we mentioned that they were for the kitchen floor and any other tiling jobs that we've got in the future. So we brought them around here. The beam is to support the bow in the ceiling of the kitchen, which is on the other side of this wall just here. So that's why these have all moved there. The compost, we did a video of 30-day compost of what we learned scouring the internet. So we're waiting just over 30 days, and we're going to show you what and if it's worked, basically. So that's been untouched for a while there. I mean, this is just beautiful walking around here now. Log stores, it's had better days, but like I say, it's just a cover for now. And the more logs we get, it'll be able to be squared off with the tarp, but we're not too fussed about that. So coming around the corner straight away, you can see the difference straight away. We've got this beginning footings of that cherry tree double planter there. We've got the one in the middle that dividing the garden. This is kind of like a processing wood area. You see we've got old stumps, and there is a lot of logs under there from pruning around the neighbour's plot, etc. So that's just kind of in the way at the minute. We've moved the pins that outlaid the new porch area that we're going to be hopefully doing when finances allow. And before I skip past this, so I mentioned last time that the kitchen that is habitable is from the bricks back towards the back door. So we have a mudroom here and a mudroom here. So I'm going to go into the green door, which is technically our tool room, which backs on to the kitchen. Now, at first glance, it isn't exactly pleasant to be in here. There's evidence of rodents, etc. It's not very pleasant. So one of our very, very early videos, this was the summer house wall, taking it down to try and make a doorway. And that was actually one of the things we regretted, because it exposed us to the parts of the building that isn't sound and has ways in for animals and creatures. So this is just the storage room for now. You can see it's just random bits. And this is all made out of mud brick. So eventually this will all come down and be replaced for more modern materials. But it just gives you a bit of a perspective. This wall, which, like I said, the kitchen's on the other side. This wall will be like 1 metre there and 1 metre buttress wall there and divided. So we have a 1.2 metre span in the middle for French doors or things like that. So that's a bit of context for there. So now I can go back to where we was. Now I'm going to walk towards a polytunnel, because as we're preparing for the weather to turn, we're actually putting a lot of the Bulgarian traditional things that we found in the house in the polytunnel to keep it dry. And then when I get there, I'll turn around and show you and discuss what else we've been doing. So we don't really mind too much about all the materials that get covered, because it's all outdoor stuff. So I'm just going to pause it, quick few minutes inside the polytunnel, because there's a lot going on. Okay. Oh, it's actually lovely and warm in here. So we've got the drawers there lined up for the restoration of that cabinet down the back alley. We've got a load of these reclaimed roof joists we're going to be trying to be used to make pagodas, garden structure trellises, which I'll show you the locations of them in the few minutes. Excess battens, etc. It's all useful. And this is what I mean with the Bulgaria related stuff. So things like this that was left in the house. This is like our restoration and project cupboard area. So just random things going on there. But it's going to slowly fill up in here whilst we start clearing out those other two mud rooms. Okay, so from this view, we've actually taken partial ownership of our neighbour's plot, and you can see it's just looking a lot more tidy with the grape trellises in the background. We've still got the two double pear trees to chop the crowns off. We think they might have a fungal disease, we're not too certain, so we really hope they come back and survive. We've been taking down all the chain link fence that used to be here a few months ago, taking all the tree roots out, and begun continuing the stone footings of the boundary wall there, and we'll be bringing it along, leaving a gap for the tractor access, and then bringing it behind the polytunnel. So from here you can see the planter divide for the garden, and this will divide the food forest and raised bed area that will span the whole length of that area of the garden down there to the leisure. So we're still planning on having the pool here, and we've considered doing a natural one with the liner to use less cement and concrete, but it all depends. We're going to have to dig a lot of it by hand just because we're on a budget, but we'll see what happens. So this was a self-seeded Marabella tree, still doing really well. I think it survived. Might as well even forget about that. That's a hazelnut tree, and you saw in some of the very early videos, I think it was maybe even like March one, where these were actually in wine barrel planter containers near the old path, which we've now taken up. And we feel like because we root bound them and then waterlogged them, it was just asking for disaster, and that's why they've not come back. That was a old grapevine root there. So another thing we've started clearing is all the shrubbery foliage off of these footings here, and expose the street and eventually all this will be rebuilt, because it's actually proven to be a lot worse condition than our initial thought. A few of the boulders there we've dumped the other day, ready to add to the planters, but 99% of the stone now will be coming from down the bottom of the tip in the bottom of the village, and handballing them up with the tractor is pretty laborious, and we want to rely on nice weather for that. So straight away you'll see there used to be an outbuilding here, our last one. Check out the video on the channel if you've not seen it already. But it was falling down, we had all the millions of half-round tiles on the top, and now we've extended our growing area an extra 2 meters. And underneath the snow there is a lot of rubble and like bits of logs and all sorts, so it's looking really tidy with the snow. So you can see up to the French doors, the tool room is in that half, and then those 2 windows are the kitchen. So all this will be taken down. The roof will be fixed above the kitchen and insulated for the following winter of this year, and then get this down to footing level, and depending on finances, we'll either rebuild with brickwork and blockwork and save the roof, as if don't put the roof on just yet, and then just seal off and winterproof the kitchen for now. So that's the plan for this year, a big project. A third of the house is being demolished, so not many people can say that. So overall we're doing pretty good. We've started to propagate loads of plants, and like peas are coming up, they're doing really well. And the reason I'm just walking towards here is because we've taken out the original path, because that eventually won't be the front door. We may be considering like a private balcony there with no step access, and then we'll be using the French doors when they get all refurbed to line up in the middle, which will almost be the middle of the street road, and that there'll be like a trellis, a grape trellis across for cover. So that might be the primary entrance / front door there in the middle of the house. So we'll have an arbor trellis being built this year here. We've got loads of berries and plants growing in around here. We've sprouted a pomegranate tree, blackberries, all sorts. So this is going to be like the berry and fruit garden with a bit of ground mulch of strawberries, etc. We've got a slight section of path to come out, and that's why I didn't want to come through the green gate. There's still loads of rubble on that. So if I stand back a little bit, so we've got a future trellis going towards the French doors, made out of reclaimed joists from the polytunnel, and we'll have the raised beds in that back quarter there. So all this will be like food forest as you come through, and you can see my footprints ruining the picturesque snow. So the renovation of replacing the door for the window is holding up pretty well. We've got no leaks, etc. And whilst the concrete plinth was taken down, it was actually built into the windowsill. So rebuilding that and trying to keep the architectural ornamental features is one of our go-to things for that as well. We're pretty certain we're going to be able to do it, but it will mean we want to bring the fuse board, put the wires on the inside of the house, bring them down, and that line represents the cellar ceiling. So we bring the box and put it on the other side, which will allow us to cement render all that nice and flush, sort the corner out, bring the level up with the plaster up to this end, and like I say, all that will come down this year. And eventually it'll all be UPVC'd, etc. But it all depends, doesn't it? So this is a little patch of garlic here, doing really well, that we managed to straw mulch before the snow came. And we've got another patch just in the shade over there that you can't really see. So that pretty much sums up the outside. So I'm going to go in now, knock all the snow off my boots, and show you what we've been up to inside. Okay, so straight away we're into the hallway of the main house, and you saw in last week's episode that this is kind of the place where we've started propagating some seeds. And just in a week you can see all the peas are sprouting up a lot more visible now than when we first showed you. I won't go into too much detail of what we planted, but you'll notice we've got like a growing bulb there, just a cheap one off the market, because we want the saplings to get daylight, or at least be tricked into thinking there is sun, but the winter sun isn't reaching through this window. But it seems to be helping, and it's all going well so far. So I'm just giving you a bit of a view. You'll notice that we've got some carpet down now, and we did manage to get all this concrete floor done just before Christmas and before the last video. And it's all pretty good, no cracking and nothing like that. And the plan for this year is to replace that lintel there, because it was a reclaimed beam, but we're unaware that it actually had wood boring beetle in it. And you can just hear the scratching, and it drives us insane. So we've got some concrete posts that we're going to replace that for, but you can imagine it's an acro job and it's quite a few hours. Now, once the concrete posts have been replaced, we're then going to focus on, maybe in summer, cutting out a square there for a gallery window, and then possibly like a little light, security light, on the other side, outside. And that will show the extension roof and the beautiful hills in the background. So going into the bedroom, you'll see all these rugs that you'll see me walking across. They were actually donated to us by our neighbour who lives just on the corner up there, Stefan, and his wife Annie, because she recently visited and she noticed, especially downstairs in the colder rooms with the concrete floors, we didn't have any covering. And we're okay walking around in flip-flops and slippers, but they just thought about us when they went home and just shouted us up and gave us a load of carpets to help through winter. So that was really appreciated. And they're really shaggy. And we've had some of our own to patchwork it, and there's another one at the back over there. But it really has helped, just kind of locking a bit of warmth through the concrete, and the house does take a lot to warm. So just going back onto the bedroom, there's not a lot of progress around the house that's happened in the last 3 months because of the weather, and we've just been stuck with the winter, really. But we've got... Yeah, it's too cold to do anything. So we've still got the last curtain to build. Still haven't managed to do that. But at least the sun wakes us up in the morning directly onto the bed. And coming back out, you remember last time I mentioned that this was the lounge, but it is going to be a future second bedroom. And this is decommissioned because we changed all the wiring. So there's no power, no sockets working, nothing. So you noticed at the beginning of the video when I talked about the fuse board being replaced after being exposed from taking the concrete plinth down. Well, that's outside that window there. So for this year, we're hoping to channel down the wall and go straight through the floor into the cellar. And this explains why this is boarded, whereas the other 2 bedrooms behind me have concrete floors. And this is because it's the ceiling. So we'd like to get all new wiring done and hopefully replace this for concrete in the future. So that's kind of a breakdown of what we want to achieve in that room. And then we can get around to filling some cracks and giving it a lick of paint, similar how we did the bedroom. The cosmetics in the hallway, as well as maybe getting the window in. And we've got the plasterboard materials in the tool room that you saw at the beginning. And that's saved for boxing out these pillars and just sorting the ceiling out as well, because these beams we've put in, because it is just a bamboo lat ceiling, it's not very strong, and we've stopped storing things in the attic because the animals are getting in and it's not very pleasant. So this loft hatch has been exposed for quite a while now, and that's one of our vulnerabilities when losing heat, especially with the fire that's down there under the extension roof. Obviously it's a large space to heat, and we do feel the hallway heating up quite well, especially with the bedrooms. And once this is covered, it will actually make a massive difference. When it snowed, we noticed that the main house roof, it all starts melting above here and then spreads. But overall, above the bedrooms and everywhere else, it's doing pretty well. So I didn't show in here last time. This is just like the dressing room. It's just one of our smaller spare rooms. And this is another rug that Annie donated to us through the winter period. It's another shaggy one. And it's just our wardrobe, really. So we've got summer clothes in suitcases ready, coats, etc. And this is one of the reasons why we didn't get this window double glazed, because we knew we weren't going to be using this room as much. And at the time, we didn't have the finances to do the whole house. So we've just got some insulation foil, same as you'll see in the kitchen against that other exterior wall. And there is quite a bit of a draft with the old frames, but it's something we've got to live with. Can't all happen in one day. So coming down now into the extension, you can see, like I said, with the carpets, it's a bit of a mosaic Picasso, but it's doing okay. So to my left is the bathroom, and we managed to get all the shower base sealed, the concrete cured just in time. We did use it quite regular before Christmas, but because we don't have doors on the rooms, we started relying back on the bath, and you can't beat a nice warm bath in the peak of summer. It's a peak of winter, especially when there's snow on the Velux above you. So just to go into a bit of detail, we are in the process of decommissioning this vanity unit, and that's why we've uplifted the shelf, and that one has just been balanced back as well behind the toilet. They are just sat on bricks, and there is quite a void behind there, and we're going to fill it with insulation and fix it down properly. But we feel like the skills we've learned when doing DIY and other restoration projects, this was Anisha's first project, and although we were super happy with it, and it did have a lot of effort, like the drawers are over there just waiting to be sorted out, but we feel like we can do better. And because it's mounted on like the feet and on against the plasterboard there where the stonework is, it slipped where the fixings just weren't up to scratch when we initially built it. So we're planning on building a new one of them. There's designs in mind, but won't go into too much detail. We've also got a few other little snags to do as well. And like I said in last house tour video, the idea is to have like maybe a resin floor, we're not too sure yet, but battens so you can't see the drain's concealed, and then like a bifolding shower screen door for here with maybe some like frosted window tint or something similar. So straight away opposite the stairs, we've got the utility room. Not much going on, but we did mention that we're experimenting with different layouts. So that's just like winter storage box, shoe box under there. We're still using the boiler that the company sent us a parts and spares and repairs. We haven't actually been working on our black one. We thought, right, if it works, keep it on the wall, get back to the company in another time. Let's just get through this winter and then arrange what happens next. So whilst taking down the outbuilding, we actually reclaimed a lot of battens, which will allow us to box this off pretty soon, which you can see we've got a length of water pipe going around the corner, so we can move that stem there, cut off the dead leg, put it under the boiler, really nice, and box that off. And the future plan would be like almost like cupboard doors maybe, with a worktop inside, water heater mounted up there, and then that'll be on a nice shelf across the top. Obviously that'll all be boxed in there around the washer and dryer. But when you come in through the door, which will open that way, we'll have the coat pegs, a little bit of a seat bench just to take your shoes off and your wellies, and this will hopefully be resined as well. It's just one of the cost-effective flooring methods we're considering until finances are suitable. So Anisha's just got the fire on, and like I say, it is a bit tight, but it is only permanent, and this is the hallway, the back hallway. So having the couch here quite close to the fire is pretty cozy. So that's just our tinder bin. Sometimes the logs are a bit too big to fit in, so they got to stay there for a while. All in all, pretty good. You'll notice, especially in the kitchen as well, and like on the back of the front door, what we came through, we're putting like blankets and just a bit of draft excluding methods really. So you can see the carpets have really helped and the rugs have really helped, just keeping the dust down. The only problem with this corner is that the cellar has no coverage. So even if we're wearing our flip-flops and coming round, this is a bit of a pain in the ass to brush, but it's okay. It's still better than walking on the bricks. These are just a few propagator plants. The pomegranate is coming up really well there. The moringa, it's gone to sleep, but it's only just coming back. It is a nice sun trap through that new window there. And you can actually see the difference of how it looks from here. So the green gate will be moved a lot to the left, almost to where that POG shelf unit is in the future. I mentioned briefly about this wall mural using memorabilia from the previous owners, and that's our nod to them, so we're pretty happy about that. Had a lot of compliments off the Bulgarians as well. So before I go into the cellar, just want to briefly touch on our plan for this year pretty soon. So we mentioned we want to do like a stone natural tile floor, but they are going to be a lot wider and bigger through the centre, and then the strappany smaller size ones on the side, which you're not going to see. So we've got the beam outside to be mounted all the way across. The buttress wall there behind the fridge. I think I've mentioned it a few times, so I won't go into too much detail. But the opening will lead us to the new summer house once we've renovated and rebuilt it, which will go dining room and then lounge at the end. And we're hoping to get like a fireplace somewhere joining the two rooms to heat this side of the house. So the extractor is on the wall. It's usable if we wanted to recirculate, but we don't. But we didn't want to put another hole in the house through the wall just yet because it's too cold. But it's working well. It's working well. A few snags on the sink that we've noticed when I fitted the trap. Because it's a UK sink and the drain waste pipes are different sizes, it's a bit of a puzzle piece to get things to fit from Bulgaria or Europe, for example. So a bit of a thing going on there, but like I say, we'd like to build like a unit to match this, and this is permanently staying now in the future kitchen. So just a quick go into the cellar. There's not a lot going on, and it is a bit dusty. It's used for long-term storage, especially in the crates as well, all our jars, Tupperware. But we have been mentioning bringing the logs in, and this is where we've been stacking them behind the door. So it's quite a nice stack. We've probably got another few weeks left of winter, and we've got the ones near the back door on the outside that you saw stacked up. Also worth mentioning, we haven't actually used the upright fridge and the upright freezer this winter. We did last year, but only briefly. And we did invest in these appliances when we did have a bit more money. But the fact they've been sat here unplugged isn't an issue. It's not a bad thing because they're ready when we need it. And the more we grow and have time in the garden and develop the house, they will have their use. And it means we don't have to think about that upfront cost when budget's tight. So we'd like to take all this installation down and, like I say, concrete the lounge, well, the bedroom upstairs, the old lounge, concrete the floor, take the insulation out and chuck this insulation above this concrete ceiling of the kitchen, because we noticed with the snow that it was melting pretty quick, like on the trusses. So we haven't got round to fixing the rest of the trim or fixing the glass pane for that side of the door casing just yet, but it's actually shown us the pull of the cold air settles in there. So it's really easier to, once the fire's on a few hours, it warms up the kitchen, you've got your cooker as well, and then the fire really toasty in this area, but the high ceilings direct it and it fills the bedrooms first and then comes down the hallway. And like I said, especially when that loft hatch is covered, it's going to make a massive difference. So I'm going to head back up to the front door now and end it showing you the garden view whilst it's snowing. And I hope you've enjoyed this February 2023 house tour. So like I said, there's loads of stuff going on.
and it looks really nice now. We've got this extra space from taking down that outbuilding, and you can almost picture the trellis, and we're going to have like an arbor one here, and the raised beds all finished maybe at the end of the year. And the solar panels will all be refitted on the above the kitchen as well. We've got 2 more there. And these panes of glass, which were just screwed to the original traditional wooden frames, all this glass will be reused. We've actually taught ourselves how to cut glass, and some people might not think it's very hard, but it can be quite tedious, and you got to concentrate and get it right. So we'll be using the glass to make the cellar window, to cut to size for the gallery window above the lintels in the staircase. So there's a lot of things going on. And once again, thanks very much for watching this far, if you're still with me, and let us know what you think in the comment section below. See you again soon.